So I read newspaper articles sometimes about stuff. Well, not newspaper. I mean, Apple News app. That's what I keep up with in the general cultural crapola. Anyway, that's how I learned about this book because someone in The Guardian had written an article about this new biography of Stephen Sondheim, Art Isn't Easy by Daniel Okrent, Okrent. It's in the Jewish Lives series from Yale University. And, Stephen Sondheim was a Jewish man. He wasn't really practicing. He wasn't taken to, I don't think he ever, he said, he never went to a bar mitzvah until he was like 25 years old or something. So he didn't, all that stuff of the religious stuff of being brought up in this particular culture was not really what happened with him. So what happened with him is quite interesting in how he got kind of a leg up, that's sort of outstanding and crazy. And, it's like we're not all born here on the same base, running around the same goals, So what happened was he had a dad who made dresses. His mom and dad would go to Paris, and or his dad and somebody else, I don't know, whatever, they would copy, Paris fashions and then make them in whatever sweatshops in New York or around here. I don't know. Maybe they weren't sweatshops. Maybe he was very good at employing people, but he was involved with the garment industry. So, Stephen's parents, I think he's the only child, actually. Is he the only child? I think so. Stephen's parents divorced. And so he ended up kind of, bouncing around. Mom moved out to Pennsylvania to like Bucks County, I believe, and lived in a house out there somewhere. I mean, they weren't poor, So Stephen Sondheim was born in 1930, same year as my father. So this is not my generation, the baby boomers. This is like the Depression area, war babies, stuff, whatever. So he was born in like 1930 and died in 2021, I believe, at the age of 94 years old, which is pretty old. So when his mother moved out to this place in Pennsylvania, and he hated his mother, really hated his mother all through his life. His mother was a jerk, whatever, so they didn't get along. So in order to escape his mother, he would go over to Oscar Hammerstein's house. Well, how convenient. So Oscar Hammerstein had a house in Bucks County. A lot of show business people. That area was where a lot of them settled or had their summer homes when they didn't want to be in New York, whatever. Oscar Hammerstein was major success in lyric, and I think he also wrote librettos, the shows of their musicals. So he got involved with Oscar Hammerstein. Oscar Hammerstein got interested in him, and Oscar Hammerstein was the mentor of Stephen Sondheim here. And one thing led to another, and that got him a job on some show. I don't remember what show it was. As a gopher or something, and one thing led to another. So he really had, through Oscar Hammerstein, somehow had this real shoe-in into entertainment. Of course, there's Oscar Hammerstein, and then there's Stephen Sondheim. So I'm not really, and the book and Stephen Sondheim himself, we consider the work of Oscar Hammerstein, Roger Hammerstein stuff to be kind of overly sentimental and kind of sappy and not really, not really the kind of thing. But it was a big hit. It was very, very American and very, very a very big hit and all that. So that's how he got into the door of this theater world, and ended up through this and that in 1957 when he was still quite young in his 20s. He gets a gig writing the lyrics for West Side Story working with Leonard Bernstein and Arthur Lawrence, who wrote the script of the show. And so that's kind of a big deal there, and it's said in here, and I didn't check it out. I should have checked out before I got in here. But let's take Daniel Okrent on his word that even to this day, the West Side Story movie soundtrack is like the biggest selling album album. Well, my parents had it, of course, and I listened to it a lot, and very familiar with it. Yeah, it was an enormous hit, and everybody had it, and all that stuff. And I saw the movie, back when I was young. Yeah, and it was terrific. I mean. Sondheim himself is not. He didn't think the movie had very much style. He's didn't really love the movie. But on the other hand, the sale of this record is going to make him a whole lot of dough. So then then from then eventually, of course, he didn't want to just write the words. He wanted to write music too, because he was also a composer. So. And he was, kind of a very bright guy. He went to Williams College. Once again, he went to this sort of, I think Williams College is considered kind of a second tier Ivy League or something. Anyway, Williams College is in Western Massachusetts, in Williamstown. I've been there before many times because I used to live in Bennington, Vermont, which is quite close. And actually, I remember seeing the Cavett perform in Williamstown, or it seems like he was doing a stand-up. I don't know what the situation was there, but anyway, so he went to Williams, and of course, had nothing to do with me because I wasn't there. I wasn't there until many, many years later. So he eventually ended up writing all these shows and so forth. So anyway, it's a really good book. I quite liked it. I've been sort of I read it, finished it a couple of days ago, and I'm kind of sputtering in life these days. I don't know. It's like I'm like, why bother? Why bothering coming into my brain? And lots of different factors to feeding that. My aging, for one thing, and the nastiness of the world, another thing. But on the other hand, we had a very nice election in New York City yesterday, and somebody I voted for won. So Brad Lander for Congress. So that was a good thing, and I like that. And other things about Sondheim, I've never seen. I only Sondheim show I saw was Into the Woods. And actually, that one was with James Lapine. He had these collaborators, and according to the book, and according to the book, referencing, you know, one of Stephen's handlers or whatever, a woman, I think, that Stephen really needed somebody kind of to push the thing, and the implication is that all this art stuff really needs a driver. If there's not really a driver, there's kind of no direction, and I think that's been in this in the story of my life too, is that something I tried to do collaborative with someone, you know, nobody was really leading, nobody really had direction, and therefore it kind of went in a circle. So I kind of go with that idea that maybe someone has to have a dominant personality or have an idea of where it's supposed to go to kind of drive the whole thing forward. So yeah, so actually early on he wrote the Evening Primrose, and that is something you can watch on YouTube here, is Evening Primrose with Anthony Perkins, and it was like an hour-long TV movie that was on ABC, I guess, in like 1960, and I didn't see it back then. I don't remember seeing it. I probably did not see it at all, but I did see it on YouTube a few years back, and it's still available on YouTube in a paid version and a free version, I think. So I would recommend checking that out because it's really good. And you know, it has Anthony Perkins in it, and I really like him. So yeah, these shows, and he was also Stephen Sondheim was quite a drinker, but that was also a thing of that generation. Yeah, they put it away, and he did, but was functional throughout. He does say that by the time he reached his 60s. Things were starting to fall apart with that, and that you know, he gives a story of him being escorted down the stairs from a party, you know, really with somebody on each side of him, a little too drunk. And drugs. He was a pothead, and you know, I've been a pothead all my life, an unproductive pothead. Apparently, he has been a productive pothead, and he also the stories of the collaborators. You know, we have Harold Prince doing the first few shows, and then they stopped working together when they kind of had a flop. Actually, I think they did. I don't think they did anything after Merrily We Roll Along, which is available on as a movie version of a recent production. I think the production's launched in 23, and now they shot a movie version that is really very good of Merrily We Roll Along, and that is on Netflix if you have Netflix, and I recommend watching it because I did watch it, you know, last Sunday morning, and I thought it was really good. It's like 2.5 hours long. It zips right through, and it's very, very good. I really liked it. So yeah, so then he got involved with James Lapine, who was a good deal younger, quite a bit younger, and you know, both of these guys, you know, Prince and Lapine were not, you know, they're not gay, or they weren't reported to be bisexual or anything, whereas that was not the case with Mr. Sondheim. So one story about these collaborations is that when James Lapine arrived at Sondheim's townhouse on what is 246, I'm trying to remember now, 246 East 49th Street in Turtle Bay, it's called. He lit a joint and handed him a joint. That's how they started. And so the story is that Sunday in the Park with George, the first show they did, was kind of kind of weed fueled, and then that changed with Into the Woods, which was more of a cocaine fueled thing. And I have no experience with cocaine, so I don't know. But it seems like a lot of people got a lot of work done around cocaine, and some of them got away from it all right. I mean, you know, they have heart attacks and so forth. I think he had a heart attack in like when he's 50 years old or something, but yet ended up living up to 94. So with all that drinking and cocaine and pot and heart attacks, one can still live on till 94 if one's rich enough, I guess. I don't know. But so if one wants to live on till 94, not me, please. That's 20 more years than I have now. Yeah, it's a really good book. And, you know, as I say, watch Into the Woods. I'm going to be running a little video of his house there on Turtle Bay, which is, you know, part of this is part of the story of my life, in that when I was first in New York in the 1980s and maybe 90s, I don't know when exactly this was going on, but I had gotten a job as a helper on a renovation crew, you know, like the guy that carries the crap up to the people who are doing the actual work. I was the helper, low-paid job, and we had a job. We did several big apartments. So I've been in some big fancy apartment buildings because of that. And one of the jobs that this contractor that I worked for got was on 49th Street in Turtle Bay. And Turtle Bay has this shared garden. So, you know, the back of the buildings, it's all, you know, this sort of garden space. And you know, these rich people live here. Like while I was working there, I would see Katharine Hepburn down on the street getting, you know, ordering her driver around or something. So I saw Katharine Hepburn a few times. Never saw Stephen then. I don't know if he was not around. Apparently there was a fire there in the 90s, which kind of wrecked the place, and then it was renovated. So this video of what we see of the place now is post that, and a more recent renovation of just, you know, 30 years ago, or maybe even more after that. So the place was, he got it for not that expensively, and it was sold for $7 million a couple years ago. So yeah, yeah, what else do I have to say about Stephen Sondheim? I don't know. Anyway, I enjoyed the book, and yeah, I think this is not enough for me with this video, and you know, you might want to read it. This is kind of good. You know, Stephen Sondheim also wrote like a 2-volume thing about his work, finishing the hat, or putting it together and finish the hat, that basically from the song of Sunday in the Park with George, finishing the hat, you know. So he has this book, his own, and that, you know, runs whatever, 900 pages. But I chose to read this thing of only 200 and some pages. And, you know, I kind of feel like I've learned enough about Stephen Sondheim for my lifetime right now. So if you want to know something about Stephen Sondheim, you might want to read that book. And I do suggest watching Evening Primrose on YouTube, and I do suggest seeing Merrily We Roll Along on the Netflix, if you got the Netflix, or I go to somebody else. I cat sit, so I see these things at the cat sit place. So thank you for watching, like and subscribe.